We haven't talked about the signings yet. Kyle Brodziak, Reeder, and Gravel. What is your take on that trio?
Well, I like Brodziak. I think he's a good player. I think he's a solid NHL experienced player. Every team he's been on, well, certainly Minnesota and St. Louis the last half dozen years, he's had a leadership role in the room, even though he's a fourth liner, so he kind of replaces Letestu in that way. Good penalty killer. Has enough offense to somehow, maybe move up to a third line if something happened to some injuries. And, million, they didn't pay anything for him. $1.1 million, $1.2 million, that's coffee money at free agent time. So,
and yeah, they're not very sexy moves, but Oilers penalty killing was killing them last year. It was a gigantic hole in home ice PK was historically bad, and these are both a couple of decent penalty killers. So if you can shore that area up, that's a few more wins right there, because their penalty killing was just a total disaster for most of last year. So they've addressed that to some respect. So they each kick in 12, 13 goals or whatever. That part of it doesn't hurt. They're not making a ton of money. So for what he had to work with and what was available, who was going to come here, he did okay.
And are the Oilers aren't done yet. They need to add at least one more player.
Well, I think they need another forward. They need another forward, but they don't have a lot of defensemen either. They have 7 NHL defensemen, one of whom is Sekera, who's coming off the knee surgery, and hopefully hope that he turns out to be the
guy he
old
was, yeah.
Sekera. They only got 5 healthy defensemen in the minors, and then Ryan Mantha, who had a blood clot in his eye. Greiber was on the team last year, and so is Dylan Simpson. They're both gone, and they have young defensemen, but they're not ready to play in pro yet. So, Russian, Samorukov, and Bouchard, he's either going to play for the Oilers or he's going back to junior. So they don't have a lot of defensemen either. Maybe they sign another depth defenseman too, on a 2-way contract. Another Ryan Stanton type to help them out.
I mean, I'll call it the big name still out there that the Oilers could conceivably look at signing is Anthony Duclair, 22 years old, but he's played for 3 teams already as a depth guy, or maybe more than that.
No, just 3: New York, Arizona, and Chicago. So I don't know. That's always a red flag for me when young players keep getting traded. They're not getting traded because they don't have talent. There's some other reason they're getting traded. And he had one really good year. He started pretty well in New York, and then it was in the Keith Yandle trade, got traded to Arizona, had one good year where he scored 20, but then fell back, and then last year got traded to Chicago, and Chicago made no effort whatsoever to qualify him after he went there. And which to me is, Chicago doesn't have that many forwards where they could just say goodbye.
Yeah, 3 teams are saying you're not necessarily our guy.
There's something wrong here, but he can score. So if you're talking about all those players, whether you're talking about Tyler Ennis or Scott Hart and all, who's been a scorer, but is on his, the gas tank's not empty, but it's pretty close, or Scotty Upshall or Lance Bolmer or whoever else you're Jason Chimera, anybody else you're throwing out there. Tyler Ennis, they don't have as much ability to score a goal as Duclair does, and Duclair is younger than all those guys. So I don't know, maybe they take a shot at him. They'll take a shot at anybody that'll sign for $650.
Right. Yeah, it's because
or $700. They'll
not
take
a lot of risk. Not a lot of risk.
No, it's not risk there. 1 year.
Yeah. I was going to ask if Drew Stafford's available.
Every time I'm not even mentioning his name this year, because that's all I do is take heat for Drew Stafford. If Drew Stafford would sign for $700, I'd sign Drew Stafford.
No way.
I would. It's not my money. $700? How many teams he played for? There's not as many as some of these guys. No. I said, you see, Cap Friendly's already got Al Montoya under the buried in the minors already. I don't think you have to go through camp for that, I think.
There's kind of...
I thought when I saw that, I says, they already made up their mind? I mean, they have, I'm sure, but you got to go to camp first. And and see what happens. So
Yeah, at least go through the formality.
and that's another thing with him. If they can't afford to lose him either on waivers or trade, because they don't really have much in the minors in terms of experienced goaltenders in the minors either.
A lot of prospects.
A lot of prospects, but you're going to throw them, say,
No.
okay, now Stuart Skinner and Dylan Wells and Starrett and whomever else say, okay, you guys can handle it in the American League. So I don't know. There's lots of holes in this. After being a 100-point team 2 years ago,
Yeah.
it's hard to believe it. We're looking at it through these eyes now.